Hello YouTube, this is Michael Kazmierski Dunn if you guys don't know who I am, and welcome to episode 32 of the Blind Piper React series. Before we get started, if you're new to this, feel free to hit like and subscribe, and feel free to comment away. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what you think of this. So, yeah. Recently, I think this was back in May. Yeah, I think it was back in May. I bet you remember, for those of you who do remember this, I bet you remember the episode where I reacted to 3 great versions of the song Joy by Ricky Ian Gordon. And I'm going to put a link to that in the description so that if you guys have never heard that reaction, you'll know where to find it. But one of these singers who did that song that I reacted to was this really young soprano whose voice I just fell in love with, and her name is Micaela Rebb. And when I discovered Micaela Rebb, I just had to subscribe to her channel, and I had to comment in almost every video I found, like, oh my gosh, you have a really amazing hot vibrato, Micaela. And what I mean by a hot vibrato is that, so most opera singers unfortunately have a really bad wobble vibrato, which is a really slow vibrato. I prefer, I guess you could call it vocally dexterous vibrato, because some people think that if you say if you describe a vibrato as being fast, it's kind of a negative connotation. But I prefer faster vibratos because as a bagpiper, there's finger vibrato, and with finger vibrato, the faster finger vibrato you have, the more dexterous your fingers are. So I guess, that kind of translates for me to the faster vocal vibrato a girl has, the hotter the voice, the hotter her voice is. And, a lot of people don't realize that they have really bad wobble vibratos. They're just told they have a vibrato, and they just take that for granted. And that's a real shame in the opera world, because there was a video that was sent to me that basically describes that opera has really gone downhill exponentially over the century. Because 50, 60 somewhat years ago, we had really amazing opera singers who had really good trills, really good roulades, which are the scales with separate notes on really fast scales on really long syllables. And the queen of roulades was Christina Deuticombe. People who could do really good roulades and really good trills. And now, with the more kind of a bigger resurgence in opera singers with more stinky wobbles, it's much harder, honestly, to find a good opera singer. And a lot of people that are taught that, a slow vibrato is the way to go, is the right thing to do. And it's a real shame, and I really want that to stop. But anyway, so Micaela has one of the hotter voices in the opera world that I've heard. And I've actually discovered there are about 50 modern opera singers whose voices I've honestly really fell in love with. And these are all recent, so these are not like 78 RPM era, vinyl record era sopranos. These are like modern, relatively recent opera singers, to kind of show you that there are still some good opera singers keeping the tradition alive, which is great. And Micaela is one of these. And so I've subscribed to Micaela, and actually the other day, as of when I'm recording this, the other day Micaela uploaded at least 30 pieces. Mind you, those were kind of archived recordings from April 2021, but still, it was really nice to get all these updates from Micaela. And I just had to comment to let her know that there's somebody listening to her. And so I've decided to react to 2 pieces by Micaela that have really stood out to me. One of them is going to be the more wicked of the 2. So if you'll once you find out what pieces I react to, if you're not familiar with this, once I link to the playlist, you'll notice that I react to a lot of Maurice Ravel pieces because the coolest girl in the world, Haley, whose channel name is Ravel is one of her favorite composers. And so she keeps sending me pieces by Ravel. She's like, hey, you should react to this one, you should react to that one. And just how atonal these pieces are, some of these pieces are that Micaela sings, remind me of Ravel quite a bit. So, these are relatively short pieces, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop talking, keep quiet, and go ahead and react to this first piece that Micaela and Rebb sings. This is called Some Things Are Dark. It's from, it's by Juliana Hall, and it's part of a song cycle called Night Dances. So, here we go. And, be prepared to possibly faint, because her voice is absolutely hot. It's very similar to one of my favorite opera singers back in 2003, Denise Lee. She's a blind opera singer. She's kind of old now, but back in 2003, Denise Lee had the hottest vibrato I've ever heard. So I gotta be honest with you, Micaela has a very similarly hot voice. So here we go. Some Things Are Dark from Juliana Hall's Night Dances song cycle. Ooh, this is very Ravel-esque. Ooh, hot vibrato there. Whoa! You got this, Micaela. You've got the hottest vocal vibrato ever. I wish I had a girlfriend with perfect pitch and that exact kind of vibrato. And I love how useful your voice is, Micaela. I love it. Wow, that is really hot. Wow. Holy Mazzillo. Your voice is really, really hot, Micaela. I love it. You've got the best vibrato I've ever heard. Ever. If anybody tells you it's too fast, Micaela, I wouldn't listen to them if I were you. Your vibrato is so amazing. It's just like holy Mazzillo, like I said before. And Mazzillo is one of the best Italian bagpipe makers in history. I will also put a link to the two extant recordings of Italian bagpipes made by Mazzillo. One of them played by Mazzillo. So that was relatively short. So here's another piece that I'd like to react to out of one of the 30 or so pieces that Micaela Rebb uploaded. Let's see. This one's called Ein Traum. Now, I don't speak German, so I'm assuming that's the pronunciation. And it's from Grieg's, I believe it's Sechs. I'm just guessing. I don't speak any German. I have a friend, Michelle Hellner, who speaks very, very, very fluent German, so I'm sure she'd be able to help me out on this one. But contrastingly, this is relatively tonal, and it's much slower, and not quite as intense as the Some Things Are Dark piece. So here we go. Ein Traum. C sharp. Ooh. Like I said, Micaela, very hot. Your vibrato is really hot. And I love how I love that you're not using those tall baritone-like vowels. I like that You're allowing your youthfulness to shine through. I love that, Micaela. I love that. Holy Mazzillo. You have me stunned, really. Again, I wish there were more girls who had singing voices like that. I wish there was a quick way for people to get used to this type of vibrato. But a lot of people don't like it, and that's because they're far too used to a wobble. I can tell you've been doing a lot of trills, Micaela. I can really tell. Ooh. You also remind me of an Icelandic soprano. Her name is Alexa Chernashova. And if I can find her channel, I'll also put a link to her channel in the description as well. Wow. Your vibrato is really hot, Micaela. It's just like, wow. So yeah, those were two of my favorite pieces that Micaela Rebb uploaded recently. And honestly, Micaela, I really hope you find this, and I really hope you listen to this, because I really want you to know that there's a really big fan of yours out there. I really want you to know how much I really enjoy your singing voice. I absolutely enjoy it. In fact, as I was telling some other opera singers, or at least trying to tell some opera singers in certain reactions that I did. So like I said, my favorite instrument is the Italian bagpipe, right? Well, musically, its wife, more or less, is called the Ciaramella. Ciaramella. And the best Ciaramella player in history was a guy named Cecilio Perilli. And if you look him up online, you won't find him anywhere. But he did produce 2 tracks before he died in 1985. He was born in 1920 and died in 1985. But he used different stage names, but pipers have confirmed to me that it was actually Cecilio Perilli. So again, I'm going to put 2 links to Cecilio Perilli. And Micaela, honestly, you sound like you would be a perfect, as they call it, ciaramellista. Because ciaramelliste are supposed to have a vibrato just like your vocal vibrato, Micaela. Like, the zampogne, or the Italian bagpipe, is obviously, just steady chords, right? Because it's a bagpipe. Well, the ciaramella is not supposed to be distinguishable from an opera singer. So you're supposed to have... I've never heard anybody sing operatic pieces straight tone without vibrato, but nearly all ciaramelliste in the modern day tend to play straight tone, and that's bad ciaramella playing. So honestly, to be honest, Micaela, you have the perfect voice. You know opera well enough. I'm pretty sure you would get grips with the ciaramella really quick. And again, like I said, I'm going to put 2 links to Cecilio Perilli. He's accompanied by his son, Gianni Perilli, who actually is still alive, on the 2 different zampogne in the background. But you'll know which instrument is the ciaramella. I almost guarantee it. And I'm absolutely sure you're going to love it, Micaela. And if you ever want to look into the ciaramella, I did make a Facebook page for people who love the Italian bagpipe. And it's not just about the Italian bagpipes, but it's also, if anybody is interested in learning to play the ciaramella. And it basically works like an oboe. I know you play the flute, Micaela, but it basically works like an oboe. And there are no keys on it, so it's just holes. And to go in the upper octave, you actually have to blow harder, kind of like the kind of like the Irish whistle, or maybe even the flute, the orchestral flute, or maybe even the Irish uilleann pipes. If you haven't noticed already, I'm a bagpiper, so so yeah. Again, if you're new to this, feel free to hit like and subscribe. I'm gonna put the a couple of links in the playlist. Excuse me. I'm going to put a couple links in the description. The playlist to the rest of the reactions, Micaela's channel, and the two Cecilio Perilli tracks, so that you will be able to hear what Micaela's what the best Ciaramella playing sounds like. Because I assure you, Micaela, it's very similar to you. So, yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and join me for episode 33 whenever it comes out. If I discover something really interesting, join me for next time for episode 33 of the Blind Piper React series. If you're interested in hearing really interesting music from a bagpiper's perspective, or would like to listen to really rare music that you don't really often hear too much in your life. So, have a great day, everybody, and see you later.